Good afternoon, everybody. Hope y'all are doing great. It is a beautiful day outside. Hope y'all are enjoying it. I just wanted to come on here and do a quick little Bible chit chat, share a little bit of something that I got from some scripture. If you see me looking up, I do have my iPad behind here with some notes, just so I can remember some points I don't want to forget or don't want to miss. I am going to be coming out of the book of Acts, and we're going to be in Acts chapter 9. Very, very popular text, well-known text. And so we get into Acts chapter 9, and we see the story of Saul's conversion. It starts out even in verse 1, and Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus, to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound into Jerusalem. Verse 3, and as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. Just in that first couple verses, we are introduced to Saul, and we see that Saul has been persecuting Christians like crazy, right? If you continue reading from verse 4, we begin to get into the part where Saul is met by God, by Jesus. Get to verse 4, it says that he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Verse 5, and he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. Verse 6, and he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. Verse 7, and the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. Now, I want to stop there because I've read this text so many times, but for some reason, verse 7 stood out to me in this moment. So verse 7, it says, and the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. There are several instances in scripture where we see this kind of situation happen, right? Where some people were able to hear God's voice, but some may not have been. We have John chapter 12. We have where, some people heard God, some people didn't. We have Daniel 10, 4-7, where Daniel was actually able to see a vision, although the men around him couldn't. Only those who God chooses to hear or see will do so. Sometimes you and somebody else, your traveling companions, you may be on similar journeys. You may be going to the same place. You may have similar callings. You may be doing some of the same things. You may have the same end goals. But because you are on a journey together, that does not mean that you will see God and encounter God the same way that they see and encounter God. I have been guilty myself of feeling like I see other people on the journey of ministry, people who are called to preach or people who are called to teach. And I see the way that they do it. I see the way that God encounters them. I see the way that God speaks to them. And I started to doubt and question myself, like, man, I don't have that gift of gab. Like, I don't have that enthusiasm all the time when I'm speaking. Sometimes all I have is my information that's in front of me, and all I can do is share it. But God had to really get into my mind that is just the grace that he has put on me. Different people have different graces from God. And so how he deals with them may not be the way that he deals with you. He may give this person dreams. He may give this person visions. He may have this person do this. But then when it comes to you, he may just give you information to share. He may just give you revelation to spread. So we cannot compare how one person encounters God during their journey to how we may encounter God in our journey. Now, that's one thing. So the next thing, is that it says Saul is on his way to Damascus. I love to look up these words. I love to know what these things mean. Like, what is the importance? What is this scripture telling me? It says that Saul is on his way to a place called Damascus. So I say, okay, what does Damascus mean? You look up Damascus in its original language and where it originally came from. It represents an ancient city that's known specifically for trading. I'll say that again. It's an ancient city known specifically for trading. Saul is on his way to a place where there's something that will be traded. That is the whole point of going into Damascus, is that something is traded in Damascus. And so we read here that God encounters, he meets Paul on his way to a place where he's going to be trading one thing for another. But what stuck out to me is that it says Saul, as verse 3, and as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. So he had not yet entered the place where one thing would be traded for another. He was near it, and God encountered him. Sometimes there's some type of transformation that has to happen before you walk into the change or the exact thing that God has for you. Sometimes there's something on the journey that God has to break down within you before he puts you and gets you to the place that he has for you to be. It says he came near Damascus. He was coming near a place of change. Verse 8, Saul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man, and they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. It says that he saw no man, meaning he was blinded. And I said, okay, God, why was Saul blinded? I began to just look at some different resources and things and start to really dig into it and study and ask God to reveal it to me. And what God revealed is that Paul came on this journey blind already, because he was spiritually blind. So he was on his way to fulfill his own wants. But when Jesus encounters him, he has to take away his physical sight so that he's not going to be distracted by the things of man. It says he saw no man. He's not going to be distracted of the things of man, distracted of the things of the world. All he'll be able to focus on is the spiritual change that is coming about at that moment. So yeah, essentially Jesus has to blind Paul physically so that he can see spiritually. I need you to see me. I need you to forget everything you've been seeing already before. I need you to see me. Not only was Saul on a journey, not only was he on his way to Damascus, but he was taking the route of a road called straight. So while Damascus is the destination, total transformation is your ending destination, you still have the journey on the road called straight. So I said, okay, well, if I look up Damascus, I have to look up straight. It's made up of two separate words, right? So the first word, the first part is to set something, to set or establish. And the second part is to be well off. And so what we see here is that as Saul, who will become Paul, is on this journey on the road called straight, Jesus meets him near Damascus. So before I let you in, before I let you fulfill a full transformation, I have to blind you to the way that you were so that I can establish you and set you up to be the person that I need you to be. So he can't walk straight in. Stop, baby. He cannot walk straight into Damascus. He has to take the road called straight. He has to go through a process before he gets there of being blinded and being transformed. And that's what we see happening here in the scripture. God is so deliberate with everything in this scripture. There's nothing that is a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that he was on his way to a place called Damascus. It's not a coincidence that he had to travel on a road called straight. It all was a part of the bigger picture, the story and the revelation that God is trying to give. He's on his way to a place of trading. What is he trading? He's trading Saul for Paul. He's trading who he was to who he's now going to be. Even the way that scripture words it, the stark difference in what it starts to say Paul is doing is chapter 9, verse 1, Saul yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord. He's threatening them. He's ready to kill them. He's ready to slaughter them. He goes from that, verse 15. But the Lord said unto him, go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. So verse 1, Saul is going into Damascus to persecute the Christians. And then we get into verse 15, God says, forget that. He's going to actually go in and be Paul, who was, instead of persecuting, I'm going to have you spread the gospel to these people. I'm going to have you preach to them. Instead of asking the kings and these people for permission and getting their blessing to go ahead and slaughter these people, I'm going to have you even preach to them. It's a quick little, I guess, Bible chit chat for the day. I hope y'all have an amazing rest of y'all's day. I love y'all. Stay blessed. Pray for me. I'm praying for y'all.